Hello, how are you today? I hope you are doing well. I am going through a little bit of a challenge to say the least, but I am having a big bowl of frozen banana ice cream. And the trick to making this good, I realized, is don't like a lot of those raw food YouTubers were saying, like, let the banana over ripen, but it tastes bad that way. Let the banana ripen, but not to where like the skin is black and it's all overly ripe, and then it doesn't taste right. So I froze it because I've been doing it in the refrigerator before then. Look how nice and big that is. I froze it this time and I prefer that, the texture. And first I added crushed ice, some medjool dates, honey, and some coconut sugar, and put it in my Vitamix. And then after you add the bananas, so you don't over blend the bananas because they oxidize and then they'll taste funny. Anthony William, the medical medium, just put out a new audio on honey. And it was so fascinating because he talked about how the bees go to plants we couldn't even eat, that are poisonous to us, but they take all that nectar and turn it into honey, and they go to all these medicinal plants. So imagine how powerful honey is. It's a true medicine that the bees are making for us from all the dandelion, the herbs, the flowers, the roses, and even plants that we wouldn't go to. It's really incredible. And how our chemical practices are destroying the honeys and destroying the flowers and the medicine. That's actually my source of stress, is because where I live, they're applying pesticides in vats on the lawn. So it's not just like a spot application, which is bad enough, but it is like a fumigation. And it really is traumatic to watch it. In fact, it does give anxiety and depression. And I found that I was doing so good mood-wise, and happiness was just brimming out of all my pores. And after the contact with it, because it's in the air, I've become anxious. But the good news is the other residents are also against it, just because of the visual of having like a vat or hoses or a tractor just come onto your lawn and spray that mechanically in such huge amounts. The visual of it is very traumatizing and shocking. So other people feel the same way. So we're going to push towards having the HOA stop the practice. But physically, because I've had contact with it, my anxiety is headed. And I do have a low-grade depression. And in fact, I made a video yesterday and I didn't even want to post it because I was just not in a good space. But pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, if you apply them outside or in the home, they will produce anxiety and depression. Which makes sense because they're poisons, right? So why would we feel happy? But I was doing so well because I was detoxing and I felt so healthy. Like every pore was emanating like this sunshine energy and happiness. My body is still working. Luckily, my digestion hasn't like backed up or anything because it does go to the liver, but I do have noticeable increase of anxiety and just don't feel as good as I did. I know if as a community we get this practice to stop, I can get back to feeling good again. But I will be one of the spears into having the cessation of it, because I'm observing the way it's done, and it needs to be worded in such a way to curtail the vats coming, you know. If not, they'll manipulate it and then agree to something that's not totally protecting the residents. God gifted me with an ability to be very articulate. So I'll take that in my hands and make sure it's done correctly. It's a refreshing thing that the residents here are more on the same page with these things, because I lived in a community before excuse me, and the residents were very ignorant. Also, they weren't very nice to each other, which is interesting, and ignorant. They gossiped all the time, and they just had no awareness. They were a really miserable bunch of people. In fact, I was not happy there at all. They were very unkind. So I did sell that residence, and it enabled me to live here, and I love my home. We love our home, but it's not really a home when they come and terrorize it with war machines of pesticides, and then they leave like a big pollution behind, and it's all over the lawn and the grass. It is like a terrorist attack. And I do have some beautiful fruit trees, and to me that's like a reflection of God. Anthony was talking about how honey is really good for PTSD. And that makes sense, because if you think about it, like how soothing it is. Say if you were a child and you were really upset and you got a spoonful of honey. It's so soothing. He said it's one of our most powerful medicines, and he eats up to 10 tablespoons a day. And it's very interesting because I eat as many dates as I want, as much honey as I want. I don't gain any weight. And in the past, I felt like I actually did gain weight from dates, but that's probably because I wasn't detoxing, and I was eating higher fat, because that really makes the difference. Because if, let's say you eat a high fat diet, even if it's vegan, it could still be higher fat with the avocados and nuts. And then you add the dates, they're not going to be digested as well. You know, if your liver's always working on the fats and the proteins, you're not giving it a break to cleanse and digest. That's why the keto diets don't work. And my husband is listening finally, because he really held on to those keto diets. And I said, listen, you know, they're not working. Let's try something new. And he's seen how much I've healed. So now he's totally off coffee. Amazing. He has celery juice every morning. And now he allows me to make him a big bowl of fruit. And I can't even explain the pleasure I get just watching him eat that fruit. That life-giving force that's going to cleanse him and heal him. It's amazing. It just makes me so happy. And he likes dates. And before he used to say, what are those big raisins? They look so weird. Or now he asks for them. And before, you know, he would load up on the carbs. Pardon me, not the carbs, because he was into keto. He would load up on the proteins and fats. And when I would offer him fruit, he'd always be disinterested, because you're not interested in fruit if you're eating heavy foods. And it's actually your body's way of protecting you, because it wouldn't even be digestible if you ate all that fruit on top of the fats and proteins. It would cause a stomachache and indigestion. And also it wouldn't properly like digest that glucose either. So it's important to have fruit on an empty stomach. Like up until noon, if you can just eat fruit. I usually eat mainly fruit until my husband comes home for dinner time. But so now he's having a big bowl of fruit and his workouts are better. Oh, it's so wonderful to see that. I'm enjoying this so much. So yeah, it's been really stressful, and the contact with the pesticides has given me anxiety. And it was Anthony William in the Medical Medium who illustrated a story of that. The husband was using insecticides in the home, and his normally happy wife got depression and was crying and crying. And they traced it back to the contact of insecticides. So I don't feel the best. It's harder to like start my day in the morning. I know I can cleanse it out, but I also know I don't want to be subjected to any more bats emptying these poisons onto the lawns anymore. And I'm so grateful that the others don't either. I was so nervous that they would reject what I was saying or discount it or be uninterested or kind of like shame and isolate. But they didn't at all. They were totally on board, and they also had dogs that got sick. It's so nice to see. You know, these people are much more successful than where I used to live, where the people weren't so nice and weren't so educated. I'm so pleased. I'm not like writing about it under, you know, with like my photo and my name or anything. But everybody's on board. Thank God, because when you have an issue in a neighborhood, you need the like majority consensus. And then the landscaping company said, just put red flags around the perimeter of your property that you don't want sprayed. Okay, that's ridiculous. Pesticides and fungicides and gases travel. So I'm going to have a little red flag around my yard. But he's going to spray the neighbors. And it's going to be okay for me, so I can just sit outside and have my tea. Pesticides don't work that way. You know, all the children's learning disabilities and behavioral problems are correlated with chemical exposures and toxins and heavy metals. And it's so interesting that because I wasn't sure if someone wanted me to teach this course, and they said, no, we do. I'm going to teach a course on medical medium and all the health benefits and how to detox from the heavy metals. And we'll see where it takes me. I've also offered to teach it as a paid position if they accept me to teach it. We'll see. But I've been really passionate about it. And before the sprain, I was like brimming with happiness and enthusiasm. Thank God my body is still like functioning and healthy. But because of the contact, I'm much like slowed down. My mood is low, you know. But I do have this vision that these spraying of the lawns with the bats is going to stop, is going to cease. I do have the vision that there's going to be a consensus of the neighbors so far that have moved here. There's still more construction to be done, but we're not going to wait for 2 years for the construction to be done for everybody to agree on this. I'm just so grateful that others feel the same, because had they not and they insisted that it be done, we'd be in a position where, as much as I love the aesthetics of this house, it wouldn't feel like my house. Like it actually doesn't until they cease doing it. It feels like war machines coming onto your land, which is really what it is. And you can't have a landscaping company or an HOA in charge, because they don't live here, they don't reside here. Their motives and objectives are not what ours are. And God forbid, we get sick. So I'm just very grateful for that. And then I'll just show you my plants that I planted. For me, it's like such a reflection of God, like the best reflection of God. So this is my starfruit plant, and I actually planted this from seed. I did put it in a bucket because, of course, I'm not going to plant it in a neighborhood where they spray. I may put it in another yard and have the residents take care of them. But this beautiful, miraculous tree I got actually from the seeds of a fruit. This gentleman who lives in the area gave me bags and bags of starfruit, and they're so juicy and good. And I planted several seeds, and out of all of them, only 2 grew into trees. I had lots of seedlings at one point, but only 2 grew into trees. I do have a mango that my friend gave me. It's still pretty small. This, am I doing it right? Hopefully you see it there. And I have a papaya, but it's kind of struggling. But the starfruit produce a plethora, so many fruits. And they should start flowering in not too much time, like less than a year. And also, if I planted them in bigger pots or in the ground, they'd really take off. But like I said, because they spray here, and it's like this HOA, they wouldn't even like for us to have trees in the ground. Like, we'd have to take them out. But I don't want to plant them in this ground. And then I don't know about having them on my balcony, because definitely not until they cease the lawn issue with all that. I mean, they just dump it on. It's just horrific. So that's got to stop. But I do have faith that we can get that done, because other people have been like horrified by it as well. And even people who haven't moved here yet, just like the explanation of it versus a spot treatment. I mean, spot treatment is the same chemicals and it's still bad, but it's not like they're coming down upon the lawn and just dumping everything. So, and this is also like a really pretty example. And this is a rose plant, and I bought her and she was in flower, and then I clipped her like after all the budding finished. And what you notice about rose plants is when you clip them, you kind of get like a new growth that's burgundy in color and not green. And that's how I've learned the buds will appear in that new growth of burgundy color. And there are so many buds appearing. This is I think it's called a floribunda. It's an easier one to grow, but this one was so pretty because they have pink flowers and then they like fade to peach color. So then you'll have all kinds of like levels of blooming on different times. So like all the buds will be different colors. Some are new of like a pinky color, and then some are fading, and Yeah, they come out as pink, but they go like to a coral orangey color. And I'm not sure how many I have, but there seems to be so many buds, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, there's like probably 15 buds. And isn't this like the joy of life, to see butterflies and bumblebees and roses and flowers and fruits? I mean, if we're going to be like disconnected from nature, and then there's going to be like these scary bats spraying and like dumping all their toxins, and I can't walk on the bare feet in the grass, and I can't be outside. I mean, I'm calmer now from just being outside and observing nature, and that's within all of us. I mean, don't make the outside a battleground, a war zone, just so like a landscaping company can put money in their pockets and they don't even live here. Or just so the HOA can feel like they have some kind of authority and dominion and control. So it's been really a lot to bear, along with the appeal food processing that's going on, that they can even like do to organics. And I don't mean to be blah or to get you down or anything, but it's just seemed like recently, since like 2020, that we're just being bombarded with so many policies and really big issues that affect our health and well-being. And we really need, these departments to stand behind what they intended to do, what they were created to do, and that is to protect our health and not be bought out. So it's been heavy. It's definitely been heavy, but God gave me the gift of articulation, and I'll see that those sprays don't descend upon our lawns anymore, and that we can sit out in our lanais any time of day or year and enjoy this beautiful nature, because there's only like so much time you could sit in your house and kind of, you almost start to pace in a way, because you haven't like calmed the nervous system and gone outside and just being soothed by nature. We're not meant to always be indoors, and you have this inclination to walk outside on your bare feet on the grass. It's just a natural desire, as well as to eat beautiful, healthy foods. But the medical medium, I love him so much because he teaches what they are, and he teaches what to avoid, like nutritional yeast. He's not a proponent of that. But then I made this nacho cheese sauce. I made it again. And actually, I didn't like it either time, which is good because I don't want to really like it. And it has nutritional yeast. It's unfortified. But like I always say now with a medical medium, at least I know what's good for me and I know what's not. Because you get so lost in all the misinformation of all these people wanting to sell probiotics and kombucha and matcha and coffee and tea and fermented foods, and none of it's good for you. Diatomaceous earth and zeolite, that's not good for you. Honey is, dates are, maple syrup, coconut sugar, bananas, wild blueberries. Chlorella is another one that's not good. But barley grass juice powder is. So he gives us the information that we need, and then I'm going to share it with other people. And it seems that it's being embraced, my desire to share, and maybe I'll share it with this community. I don't, at this point, I'm offering it free of charge, and we'll see where it takes me, But it's definitely a passion. Like the medical medium is something that 100% has changed my life, has helped me. I have a healthy digestion now where I used to struggle. My bladder's getting better. And I also ordered urine protein test strips because I wanted to see if my kidney had any protein in it, because you don't want it to. Or not the kidney having protein, but the kidney releasing protein into the urine. You don't want that. That's a sign that something's going wrong. So I tested it today and it came back really clear. No protein was being discharged in the urine. So I was really happy with that. Just because I've had bladder struggles, so I wondered. But I'm not eating salt and I'm not eating any heavy proteins and fats, so that's good. And then I'll have, my husband test and see how he does. But that's it. Slowly, by little, little by little, I'm trying to detox from that pesticide exposure, and it's something that needs to be dealt with, and we need a resounding no. They'll not employ it in our lawns anymore. So, God willing, that happens. And then I can sit outside in my garden and walk on the grass barefoot and not have so much trepidation, because you just feel like, when are the war tanks coming again to unleash their weapons, their biochemical weapons into your air and atmosphere? Meanwhile, we bought these homes and spent all our money on them. It's insanity. And like I said, the people that are quote unquote deciding to do this for us as a service, some kind of service, they don't even live here. They're not even, like, the HOA is not even seeing what we're seeing and how it's being deployed. And it is a war machine. It's a war machine from the chemical companies and pharma. And the answer is no. The majority does not want this. So it takes a toll. It takes a toll on the body, and it takes a toll on the psyche, and it takes a toll on the mind. And I'm trying to recover physically from it, because those chemicals did go into me. They're being sprayed outside my back door. So let's make this world a better place and not destroy each other, and value other people's lives, so that other people's lives can flourish and they can be healthy and their children can be healthy and we can live on this planet. There are other plans that don't even want this to happen, don't even want people alive. It's real, and it's very apparent these days. So this is a little heavier of a video, but I guess it's the reality for today. And hopefully tomorrow is a better day, and so forth and so on. But the pesticides spraying here, that's a big issue. So God willing, we come together, and we really cry tears of joy that this is changed around, so we can live in peace. Alrighty, have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. God bless.